welcome back, everybody. Thirsty Thursday number 44. Holy cow! I know this. I say this every time at the start of every show. Holy cow! Just to kind of think about the length of time that we've been doing this. We started back in March of 2020. So I think we haven't been as consistent as we were in the beginning. We've been enjoying summer, so it is what it is, and life happens. So, but cheers, guys! It's good to see you. We were just talking in the pre-show, Bobby. I actually don't know when the last time I saw you was. We worked together on the same shift, so
busy summer.
Yeah. So good to see you guys. Let's just start with a little recap. How we're doing. Anything fun that we've done over the summer, and then we'll kind of get into the show. I think Mike's joining us. He may have just sent me a text or not. But yeah, what have you guys been up to?
Good, Bobby.
Just rolled in the driveway from the Outer Banks. Little mini vacation on my 3 days off. The wife and Timmy, my younger son, they went down on Saturday. We all came back today. Caught a bunch of fish. Got a couple black drum. We got a bunch of croaker, some bluefish. Just a whole pile of fish. So it was good. It was great. We had pool time. We had hot tub time. Timmy, the wife, and I walk on the beach every night, and Timmy absolutely loved it. They're running through the surf and stuff like that. But it was good times, a good kind of mini end of the summer thing for me. Trevor, how about you, man? Well, it's always summer there. Who cares?
Well, that's that is true. I've learned a few things. I've been down here a short period of time compared to some of my colleagues here, but I never knew until probably the last year and a half. I guess I knew it, but I just didn't know I knew it. We talk about the Atlantic hurricane season going from June through the beginning of November, and I had one of my colleagues tell me, "Oh no, hurricane season doesn't start till August 14th." I'm like, "Well, where'd you pull that date out of your ass from?" He goes, "Nope." He said, "South Florida, that's the official hurricane season." Up, Chief Wood on deck.
Oh.
Sorry about
that. Sit up straight, Bobby.
All right, gentlemen, as you were. All right. Good to see you, Mike. So the middle of August actually marks when people down here consider the real hurricane season, and we're just like you all. You're right on the coast. We're on the coast. We just might see it before you, or we might not see it at all, and you might see it. Bobby, talking about your trip to the Outer Banks, I've always had a special place in my heart for the folks in the Carolinas, especially the Outer Banks, because if you look at Delmarva, they take the brunt of the crap for us. I mean, if a hurricane's coming north, it usually hits them and breaks up, and we just get some nasty weather. And they usually take the hit unless it circles around and comes right up the Chesapeake or skirts our coast, but back home. But no, things are going good. I can't complain, like you said. The transition. I was talking about this to one of my shift commanders today. He was asking me, because he's a native Floridian. I said, well, Labor Day weekend was the last big hurrah. And of course, we have a couple things up the Mid-Atlantic and Ocean City specifically that, events after that. But, it was always kind of a sad time because, summer started late, or Memorial Day weekend came around, and sometimes Memorial Day weekend was 60 degrees. You're freezing your ass off. And then someone flicked a switch and it was summer. And then you get to July 4th, and it seems like the rest of summer kind of slips away pretty quick. And then you get to the off season, which was one of my favorite times up there. September, October, and even in early November. Here, you're right, and it's not going to change much between now and February, which you're welcome. So when it's 82 degrees and sunny in February, I will be thinking about you. Not that hard, but I will be thinking about you haven't turned the heat on and your pipes freezing and everything else. But no,
we'll be thinking about you too, Trevor.
I know you will, Bobby. I guarantee, and you could probably sum it up in one word if you had to, but
or gesture
too. Well, that was kind of my subliminal thing, but no, everything's going good. As a matter of fact, Kai, for those you don't know, Kai, he's my 14 and a half year old son going on 30, but he's gotten into doing some Civil War reenactments. So we're actually going to be up in Gettysburg again in the middle of September, and he's going to be doing some stuff up there. So it'll be kind of a nice break from the scenery. Not that it's bad, but it's always nice to kind of get in different areas of the country and see different things. And so with that, just everything's going well. I told Ben we were talking pre-show. My department, we just took delivery of a new engine. Probably about we took it several weeks ago. But we did a traditional fire service housing, which was really cool because a lot of people have gotten away from that, and it was nice to bring back some of that tradition. I added some, I don't want to say personal touches, but some things that were in addition to the normal housing, like the pushback, transfer of the water from the tank of the old engine to the new engine. We did it with an actual a Carnes and Brothers leather fire bucket. We transferred it with that, and a lot of times, and I'll just end on this. You usually see a set of boots facing backwards, and not in a negative connotation like we see during a line of duty death or a fireman's funeral, but we have a set of boots on the tailboard facing backwards so that we remember where we came from, remember our history, and look to those whose shoulders we're standing on. But I put two sets of boots on there, one facing backwards, one facing forwards, and the ones facing forward were to represent the people who are serving now and those who are going to serve in the future. So, as we look to our past to gain from those experiences, that the people now who are serving understand their role and function, the importance of what they do to actually inspire the next generation. So really cool event, great community event. We had the Sheriff's Office Honor Guard. We had a piper from Palm Beach County Pipes and Drums, who I've known for years. Great guy, but really, really, really cool event. So it was nice to feel like a fireman in a fire department, even if it was for one day. But other than that, everything's good. So I guess Mike had some like high level chief stuff going on. He had to leave us, but Ben, go ahead and get us started.
Yeah, Mike sent in the private chat that he's working on between one or two computers. So I'm not sure what he's got going on. We still have another one down at the bottom, so we'll see what happens. Hang on a second.
There we go.
All right, Chief Wood back on deck.
All right, we got it now. Sorry, guys.
Mike,
I'm coming from work.
Mike, for those who don't know, lives in a community called Ocean Pines. And last year they got indoor plumbing. And this year they're looking at upgrading their internet a little bit. So we got to bear with them a little bit.
But if he just feed that squirrel on that habit trail now and then, I mean, the internet would be a lot more consistent.
To be fair to Mike, he also drops the median age or the average age by like a year and a half, just because there's so many old people, being the young guy in the community.
Actually, the kind of thing on this show, you two guys help us out a little bit. We only give the average age of all of us on this show, people.
Mike, we were just talking about, just our summers and what we've been up to. So if you want to add in, and then, as far as the show goes, we really don't have a topic. It's just kind of wherever we wanted to go and whatever we wanted to talk about.
Well, I'll tell you, my summer's been crazy, but it's been just full of work. Of course, between Baltimore City and working down here in Ocean City and trying to spend whatever minutes and seconds I could piece together with the family. So it's been a hectic summer. I'm looking forward to things slowing down with just going one way finally with Ocean City. So I'm excited about the future. But it has been a summer that has just left me exhausted. So not that I'm glad to see it go, but I'm glad that there's a light at the end of the tunnel in the future. So I'm looking forward to what's to come. But of course, here in Ocean City, we're about to undergo a pretty large influx over the next few weeks, not only with Labor Day weekend, of course, coming up, but also the Ocean's Calling concert. So that's going to put a tax on our fire service, or especially our EMS system, and potentially the fire side with what could happen. But we got those things chambered and coming down the pipe, and so there's going to be a lot going on here over the next month. and not that we haven't had that all summer, but we don't get those large single event influxes unless it's a holiday per se. So now we got three hard days of a big concert coming, so we have a lot to prepare for and a lot of work to be done. A lot of reviewing to do on some of our mass casualty incidents, and of course other little areas. So there's a lot on the docket here for the upcoming month.
And Mike, don't forget about cruising and H2OI mixed in with all that crap too. So I mean, those are their own miniature shit shows that are kind of compound to what you already have going on.
Yeah, absolutely. You said it too, especially the H2OI.
I guess we have to, the viewers whoever's watching probably don't know this yet, but Mike has been gracious enough to accept the battalion chief job of training for the Ocean City Fire Department. Sorry to Baltimore, but thanks to us, And so we're really excited to have Mike on board to bring some real world experience and plug that into our training and do things like that. So here's the battalion chief Wood.
Thanks, Bobby.
You're here.
Thank you.
And Bobby, if I can echo that also, Mike, I could not be happier and sadder and prouder for you to accept that position. And as somebody who spent a little bit of time, chewing some of the same dirt, I wish you the best of luck. And what makes me feel good is that, my brothers and sisters that I haven't worked with for years, but the ones I remember, I know they're in good hands and under a good thought process, because I'm not going to get into the negative behind it, but there's some people who are checkbox trainers or some people who like to have the title, but knowing your background, knowing your passion, knowing your commitment to the industry, the job, and the people that you're serving, it actually it's very gratifying to me, which I can't even say why. Maybe because you're the first full-time person in that position since I've left, but it makes me feel good that our people are in good hands, and you're going to do the right thing for the right reason, and to me it's a blessing. So I wish you the best of luck, congratulations, condolences, all that stuff at the same time. But I'm very, very pleased and happy that my former department has somebody like you at the helm of division like training. So Godspeed, best of luck, and if you need an employee assistance program after the first couple of weeks, we completely understand and we support you.
Trevor, we owe you too, because the rumor on the street is the only reason he got a chance at all was because he's on this star-studded show right here that you brought him in on. Otherwise he had no shot at all.
Well, I highly doubt that, because anyway, yeah. I don't think we're going to make prime time. But hey, Ben, real quick before we get going, while we're on the kind of the recognition thing, do you have a second to bring up that picture I emailed you? I emailed, or actually I sent you guys on the group text some early pictures of Wichita, and I think Bobby, the last time, like me, you, and Ray, we were out there. Remember that house we did the collapsed stairs out there? Right. But anyway, I wanted Ben to bring this up real quick. This is somebody for me who was not only a mentor and a hero and a role model, but somebody that I got to call dad for about 16 years. Hard to believe it's been 36 years since he's passed. But anyway, cheers. Dad, appreciate everything you've done, and I'm here now because of what you've done. So, cheers, Dad. Thanks, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So talking a little bit about Wichita, I think you mentioned that, and talking about your father and the pictures that you'd sent. The class that you guys are doing, it's the three of you guys and Lieutenant Ray McCormack, retired, who's been on the show and is it seems like he is constantly traveling. So you guys want to talk about that and what you got coming up? Maybe a little insight as to the class and that kind of stuff.
Trevor, why don't you talk about the history of Wichita High, because you and Timmy Jershot and those guys way before I did. Talk about the beginning.
Yeah, I will, and that was one of the pictures. This is the first picture, and everything goes through cycles and phases. And I'm not including myself in this by any means, but there's some accomplished firemen in this picture. A lot of them are officers, some are chief officers. This is the first time we went out to Wichita, Kansas. It wasn't even the fire department at the time. This was the Wichita Fools who put this on. And, a couple of knuckleheads from the East Coast who, we don't have any more knowledge or experience or information than anybody else, but they brought us out in the middle of January to Kansas. The Wichita Fire Department at the time was completely different. And we all go through peaks and valleys. We all go through changes. But at the time, and I'm kind of paraphrasing their chief had been on the job for multiple decades. They didn't run truck companies. The only time a truck company ran out of the house was on a major alarm. It was like an either or situation. And these guys were hungry to learn something about truck work. Well, I could go out there and tell you what I know and what I don't know, but I'm not an expert in the field. Neither is Timmy, but we had a lot of passion for it. And you look at some of the people in that picture. I mean, you got Sammy Hiddle, you got Chad Cox, you got Wade Holly. And I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see the rest of the guys in there. But nevertheless, I mean, these people have taken that department to new heights. These are people who are, not only fire service instructors but officers, and that's not because of us, but it's because they had that passion. This was actually held at a volley department outside of the city because the city wouldn't even touch formal training at that point. Because of these guys from Kansas who were in there from Wichita, and they stuck it out because a lot of these guys had the opportunity to go to Kansas City and some other major departments because they were beaten down. I mean, they loved their city, they loved where they worked, and but at the same time, they didn't see much advancement. These people now are leading the charge out in Wichita, which the first time I went there, just as a side note, it's kind of one of those flyover state deals. You're looking at cornfield, wheat field, bean field, and another set of that out the plane window, and all of a sudden there's a city of 500,000 people. Then it's a cornfield, wheat field, bean field. Really interesting place. And Bobby, I'll maybe at one point in time I'll get you to tell the story about me, you, and Dugan going out and try to get a beer one night. But these guys have done a great job. It's evolved greatly since then, where actually the city of Wichita and the Fools chapter combine on this. And COVID certainly took its toll on things, and people are people. Things kind of ebb and flow. But I'm very proud of these folks out there because they've kept the passion of the fire service alive in multiple ways. We've had an opportunity to go out there and teach several times. Bobby and I have been out there. Hopefully, I guess I got to wrap Bobby in bubble wrap so he doesn't hurt himself again this time. But the overall thing is that what's really cool is you have people from all around the country that'll come out there. Remember that year we had, I think it was Dennis Laguerre was out there, Bobby. And so people come from all around the country to this conference. And it's a fairly well-known conference now, but it's amazing the information that comes out and just the passion. And Bobby, something that you said to me a long time ago still resonates. When we would do training in our own departments, you'd have 80% of the people that were there because they had to be there. You had 20% of the people that might have had an interest, and maybe 5 to 10% that really wanted to learn their job even better. And between the naysayers and the people saying, hey, sign my overtime slip before they do anything else, or what time are we getting out of here today? Bobby, you kind of taught me to focus on that 5 to 10% that really wants to learn the job, and it'll trickle down to the rest of them. Maybe not, but don't focus on the 80% that are distracting you and trying to take you away from the job. Focus on that 5 to 10% that want to be there. And that's something that Bobby, you said a long time ago, and it still to this day resonates with me, is I started to frame it differently. And that makes a huge difference in my attitude in training, because you can get drugged down really, really quick with those individuals who, they're there for, not that the paycheck's not important, it certainly is, but they're not there for the right reasons. And you could literally, shit golden eggs and Tiffany cufflinks, and it's not going to make a difference to them because they just want to get there and get done and be done for the day. But for those people that it resonates with, and then later on, they're the ones who pick up that ball that you might have handed them, and they take it to levels that you never thought possible. That's what it's all about. So Bobby, thank you for that inspiration. As an instructor, and I've always had a great deal of respect. When we go out to Wichita this time, this will be the first time I get a chance to teach with Mike. I'm really excited about that. I guess I got to sleep at attention because him and I will probably be rooming together. But now he's a chief and everything. But I am interested to hear about Mike's hand moisturizing regimen now that he's in the office and really not an operational guy anymore. So with that, thank God he can't throat punch me through the computer. But with that, I'm gonna pitch it over. But Bobby, that's some of the history and background for Wichita Hot, and it's going to be another great class out there. And of course, Ray McCormick always brings his A game. And I mentioned him. I sent an article of his to my shift commanders a couple weeks ago, and they were floored. I said, well, no, this is what this guy is. I mean, he's worked in one of the busiest fire departments in the world, but yet he wants to make sure that whether you run 20,000 alarms a year or 20 alarms a year, that you're prepared to do what you need to do within your function, engine company, truck company, whatever it is. And that to me, that's a continual inspiration. And I'm really glad that we get to teach with people of that caliber. So Mike, I'm really glad that you're coming into the fold this year. Bobby and I will kind of tell you what Wichita is all about, and I'll leave that story for Bobby. But anyway, I'll kick it over to you, Bobby.
Well, hang on a second. While Bobby's unmuting his mic, Trevor, just so we're all clear, you are a chief as well, so maybe you can share some of your hand moisturizing tips with Mike and how to avoid those nasty paper cuts.
Right.
Okay.
How
Well,
to
first of all,
mix the Kool-Aid properly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure which one of you comedians actually changed Mike Wood to Chief Mike Wood and Trevor Steedman to Chief Trevor Steedman, but I think that Bobby McGee, because we have photographic evidence of him in a white helmet. So this is all or none proposition. I can either confirm or deny that, Ben.
I just I noticed that when Trevor has to put it up there because it's a little uncomfortable having another chief on the board there, Mike. So just he's watching you pretty close.
Yeah. There's a lot of deflection.
I'm intimidated.
So one of the things, Trevor, we talk a lot about it is about the culture of a fire department, and Wichita is the most amazing culturally shifted department I've ever seen in my entire life. You got a city with 500,000 people. They're having 2 or 3 working fires a day. They have heavy call volume. They had a chief that didn't believe in ladder trucks, believe it or not. I think they got 30-story buildings there. Maybe it didn't even believe in ladder trucks. It had like remember what do they call the little utility bodies they ran around or whatever, the squads or something.
The squads, yep.
Like Squad 50, look like that. But now when you look at them, they have staff trucks. They're super aggressive fire department. They're making a difference every day. They have a staff heavy rescue truck with guys that we really love teaching with that have moved on to the rescue squad side of things. Just it's amazing to see in 15 years that the department shift from just not just struggling with what their mission was and what their culture was to a very culturally grounded fire department. And so that's great to watch those guys make that difference. It gives us kind of hope. That's the nice thing about seeing other people get this right is we all need to look at our culture and make it better. We all need to think about it for a minute. What are we really here for? And I've always said this, whenever you think about policies, procedures, pretty fire trucks, whatever you're thinking about, always plug it into the victim. So I always talk about the 8-year-old in flannel pajamas, but plug it into the victim. So we're a slower fire department. We don't run a whole lot of calls, so we don't really need a ladder truck, or we don't, we'll get a bunch of information about whether or not people are in the building or not, but we don't want to risk people because of that. We'll flip that around to the 8-year-old in flannel pajamas didn't call 911. And what would they expect us to do? And we all agree, at least on this panel, that they expect us to try like hell to get them out. And that starts with looking for them, you know, and it's not only looking for them, like, right, but it's looking for fire, it's looking for hazards, it's looking for all, when you're doing search, you're not just looking for victims, but that is the number one purpose of this whole. And, you know, I think we all need to look at our culture from a victim's perspective, whatever. So we all need to look at it from their perspective, because, you know, I always said, 8-year-old in flannel pajamas, they want you to do everything they can to give them another day and to give their parents another day. You know, but I think even an 8-year-old in flannel pajamas, if there's no chance of saving them, who doesn't want you to kill yourself trying? So, you know, you always got to think about the victim's perspective, because 2 in, 2 out's all about the firemen. Continuous water supply is all about the firemen. The 7, 10, 17, 20, all about firemen. All of our rules and everything that we do has to do with us. And I think as a fire service, we need to think about that. Why is it about us? You know, we have 2,000 to 3,000 civilian fatalities every year in this country. We're not okay. They're not okay. You know what I mean? We need to do everything we can to lower and reduce that number as we kind of go. And as long as you look at the victim's perspective, I think that's a whole lot better place to start from if you're doing policy. That's kind of my little soapbox I had last week. I was talking to the firehouse. I missed Ben wasn't there, but the Station 4 I was talking about that a lot. Was we talk about a lot of different things, but you know what is the policy? What is the SOG for getting a little kid out? It probably doesn't exist.
And Bobby, I agree with you wholeheartely. And you've always had that mindset, and I think you've brought.
Trevor, that's Commissioner.
I'm sorry, Commissioner McGee. You've always had that mindset, which I've always appreciated. I was sharing that with my folks as recently as today. And look, I'm not on the unit like I was. I still get to play fireman from time to time, which is a great benefit. It's wonderful. But for my shift commanders to say, look, you're the OICs, you set up your office the way you want to set it up. If you have questions, want guidance, this, that, and the other, here's my thing. Is it efficient? Is it relatively safe? Does it make sense? And does it serve the people that we're supposed to serve? And they wanted to switch up their cross lays. I'm like, I could give a rusty rat's ass if you put a Minuteman, a modified Minuteman, a flat load, an S load, a triple fold. I don't care. I truly don't. But here's my deal. Have you done time training on it? And I know that Bobby, you're very big on that. And they're like, well, we kind of like this because the county just switched over to this thing. And personally, and I told them this, the guys, look, I'll tell you, if you want my personal opinion, I'll give you my personal opinion, but you have to ask for it. I said, I'm not going to impose it on you. But anything that slows you down and keeps that line for getting in service, is it convenient for us, or is this best for getting that line in service for the people inside the building? The same point that you make constantly, Bobby. And so they found this, the county has this load, but it has 3 straps on it. I freaking absolutely, other than a high-rise pack, I hate straps on a cross lay. To me, it slows you down. I said, whatever you want to do, but you show me. And at the end, I gave him 2 weeks. I said, 2 weeks, you train on your shifts, come back to me, and you tell me what our standard cross lay load is going to be. But here's the questions I'm going to have for you. How efficient is it? How fast is it? And if it's better for you, I said, look, even packing it, there's some things that are a royal pain in the ass to pack. Guess what? We're paid by the hour. If it takes you 45 minutes to pack it, I don't care as long as it deploys correctly. I truly don't care. I don't want to get into it. I have my own personal preferences, and we discussed this quite a bit. I mean, we know people that are like, all they know is flat loads. They love flat loads. Flat loads are, again, don't care. But how quickly and efficiently can you get it in service because of that 3, 5, or 8-year-old in a Spider-Man or flannel pajamas at the end of the hallway that does not give a shit about how you pack your hose? It's about you getting between the fire and them and giving them a reasonable chance to survive. And, I'm very proud of the folks that I work with because they've really accepted that mindset where when I put the challenge out to them to say, hey, prove this to me, and I'll sign it off any given day, but you prove to me why it's the best thing, and I have no problem. So I think that really kind of puts the motivation behind them to make sure that, you know, whatever they're going to choose to do and how they set up their office, that big red toolbox for the day, it's on them. But if something doesn't work efficiently, it's on them, and that they need to say, hey, if this isn't working in the best interest of the people we're serving, you know, I'm all about making sure it's safe for the firefighters and everything else. But I have no appetite for taking 10 minutes to stretch a hand line because it's the most, it's the easiest to pack back, or it's the easiest for someone to deploy. Again, I have no appetite for it. It has to meet those criteria, just like you said, Bobby. It's about the people we're serving, getting the water on the fire, and, you know, just like with what Ray's been doing for a while, not only the water mapping, but just this simplicity of trying to get people to buy into an extinguishment culture versus, and I want to keep our firefighters safe. I don't want to go to any more funerals or any more, you know, injuries or anything else. At the end of the day, we have an inherently dangerous job. The way that you be safe on this job, in my opinion, is learn your trade, learn how to do things quickly and efficiently, and accept the risks, but try to minimize them by being good at what you do.
We went.
Oh, go ahead. Good.
A couple years ago in Salisbury, and I think it was after one of our Fado days in Ocean City. I think, Bobby, it was you that was showing the Lexington load that we have on our front bumpers. And Salisbury is pretty much predominantly where it was a bumper line department. We had a couple cross lays. Now they're the new wagons that have come in. They go off the rear. But it was, I mean, all the wagons used to have 2 bumper lines, and that's what we pulled on everything. And for the longest time, it was the Kentland load. So, like, it was the horseshoe, 2 horseshoes and a donut roll. Well, I took the Lexington load in one night, and we're just sitting around hanging out. I said, hey, guys, tell me what you think of this. So we loaded it all up, pulled it a couple of times. They're like, man, I like that. Do you think we can change? I said, well, we can ask. I mean, what's the harm in that? So we sent it up the chain, and our station volunteer chief was a little resistant to it, but sent it up because, I mean, at the time, I think I was a lieutenant. Wrote it up, sent it up to him. It went up, and they agreed to do a trial, and ended up that the entire department switched to it. And I was waiting for the feedback from one particular shift because they are notorious for. It was like if there was something wrong that they could find with it, like they were going to find it, and they were the first shift to speak up in the next assistant chiefs meeting, and said, "Yeah, we tried it. We like it. We tried to get it to mess up. We tried to get it to get jammed in the compartment. We tried to screw it up as many ways as we could. We couldn't do it. We like it. Can we do it on all the engines?" And I was like, "Holy shit! Like this might actually change across the department." The next shift came in, and the next assistant went, and it was the same thing. Like, yeah, we're fine. We like it. And it went around the room just like that. And next thing you know, we're changing all the bumper lines to the Lexington load. Because it was easier to pull. It was faster. And then something that, Trevor was talking about, when it was time to put it away, it was so much easier. You just did a donut roll, 3 donut rolls, and you throw it back in, and you're ready to go. So yeah, I mean, I think, like we've talked about, that's the one thing that we're all kind of on the same page about is what's in the best interest for the community and the people that we're serving. Like we get paid to do this and figure it out, and if we're not good at something, we can't point fingers. Like the only person we should be pointing at is us. We're not taking the ownership to get better at it. So, just my 2 cents, Commissioner. I think you were going to chime in.
Sorry. No, I was going to ask Mike, to talk a little about what his dream is of the future training in our fire department, kind of, and where he kind of wants to go. The one thing I did want to follow up with you on, Ben, about the speed of something like time training thing. I have learned, though, that speed has to be repeatable. And what that means is dudes running as fast as they can with lines and tripping over bumpers is not a successful deployment. Guys underpinning the hell out of the line because they're in a hurry is not, So when we talk about speed, we're always talking about speed because sometimes it can be a little bit slower and better. A good example of that is I'm a total fan of stopping an engine and wrapping a hydrant and laying in dry line. You do lose 15 or 20 seconds, but I think that 15 or 20 seconds is worth it down the road because they have something to pick up and get your water supply set up quicker. And I think I'm always, I was always like kind of like we should do this as fast as we possibly can, as fast as we can, repeatable, and that's the hose loads and things like that, and so on and so forth. And the thing about your hose loads, Trevor, is the bottom line is there's no hose load out there that fixes a shitty fireman. It doesn't exist. It's not going to happen. If you're not picking up hose, you don't know what it feels like in a gloved hand, then I don't care how the hell you rack it. It's just not going to go well for you. That's the bottom line is you have to have your hands on this stuff. You just have to. This is what we do every day. The guy changes brakes on your car every day. He picks that wrench up every day and has it in his hand. He knows exactly what it feels like. Hell, he's doing bolts he can't even see quickly and repeatable. So, but Mike, I just really wanted to hear kind of what your 1 year, maybe 3 year plan, what your thoughts are about what we can do to improve our training, what you're thinking. I want to get in your head. That's what it is. It's kind of a scary place to be, so don't take very long. But
You don't want to be in there. Push the eject button. Well, the thing is that for better or worse, I spend most of my time in a whole different system. And that system has been a blessing and a detriment because it has taught me a lot of isolated ways to do things. I spend most of my time on a truck company. And I would say that I probably learned more in Baltimore, given our manpower and the jurisdiction, the type of occupancies we're in. Learned more about truck work than I would have learned, and I would argue anywhere, just because of the manpower complement that we carry and the opportunities that we had on a daily basis or every 48 to 72 hours to go to a working fire. So the reason that was a bonus was because you got a lot of those sets and reps, and that's what you need, and that's what you guys have been basically talking about for the last couple of minutes is being able to get those sets and reps in. With sets and reps, obviously, comes the ability to troubleshoot and to perfect your trade or to better it. A good example of that is what Trevor referred to as, guys would come in and they want to do this load or that load. And, you guys do what works for you. A lot of that comes with being able to get those opportunities to actually get those fires. And in Baltimore, you see that everywhere. You see that on your truck companies. You see it on your engine companies, where every morning the shift that's coming in will move some items around or shift or put a different load on the cross, the cross lay or bumper. That works for them because their crews always work together. When you show up in the morning, you're with the same guys, and you go to war with those guys every single tour. So you're able to really grow almost as a family, and you go through these experiences together, these problems, these victories, these defeats, and recently these tragedies. And all the while you're growing, but you're growing individually, but you're growing together, which allows for that ability to come in and say, hey, there's a tactic that works better for our complement here. And the next shift might come in and say, no, we don't like that tactic. It doesn't work for us. We're going to do, A, B, C, or D instead. That has been a beautiful thing because it's taught me a lot about being flexible and learning. The problem is that now coming to a place such as Ocean City, it has, I've had to put kind of rewind and unlearn some of that, because what I've found is that the sole reason that that opportunity was always there in Baltimore was because we had fires. We had fires daily, and you got to sharpen your skills on a daily basis. When you're able to do that, then you're able to really be more flexible with the way you manage and even the way you attack each situation. And down here in Ocean City, I've kind of had to adopt a bit of a different policy. One that takes us back to the very beginning of that process, in hopes that we can eventually someday be at that point. At that point where you walk into your firehouse, you see the faces that you've seen for the past 10 years in your firehouse, not jumping from house to house. You're making breakfast with the same guys and gals that you've made breakfast with for years. You're hanging out with the same people that you went to shift parties with. You're watching each other's families grow. You're going to incidents and you're learning from victories and tragedies, and you're actually coming together as a family. That's the end goal. And unfortunately, down here, there's a bit of an identity crisis. And you know, the example I use is because I'm getting close to it, and I'm sure some of you guys can relate, is that you go through a midlife crisis. That's where I feel that this department is. It's in a culture crisis or a midlife crisis where it was what it was in its infancy, and the world around it has now changed, and it's grown, and it's not really sure how it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to do now. There's a lot of things in there, a lot of people that want it to be a certain way. And then there's people that have been raised in this garden just like a crop, not knowing the outside world. And like the security of that. And there's some value to that. So it's understanding both sides of it. But, you know, when we talk strategies and tactics, as far as training goes in this fire department, much like the before mentioned comments, everything that I subscribe to is built upon a few pillars. First, it is the manpower complement, because tactics and strategies are built upon the boots that you're putting on the ground. It has to start there, because we all have jobs to do when we arrive. And you have to either streamline those or broaden them depending on how many boots you're putting on the ground. So first and foremost, I have to analyze how many people am I going to throw at an incident? How many people are going to be available for this? Knowing the grand scheme and the scope and magnitude of the situation. And then we have to look at, well, if I'm putting this number into battle, what equipment are they given? What weapons do they have to go against this? Because every department has a different complement, a different fleet, a different equipment cache that they carry on their rigs. Just like Trevor and Bobby and even Ben spoke a few minutes ago about areas like Wichita that never ran with trucks. There are so many departments that are like that, and that was a new thing to me, because coming from Baltimore, and never being in a volunteer system, I had no clue that a lot of jurisdictions nationwide just were engine dominant. It's all engine operations. And with that said, there's a lot of beliefs that trucks weren't necessary and still aren't. You can do everything with an engine and a 24-foot ladder. Being from Baltimore, I can tell you that that's not reality. That's not the truth. You can't do everything with that. And unless you visited a different garden, you're not going to understand. So Ocean City, just like Wichita, it is an engine-heavy department. So understanding the equipment is also one of those pillars that have to be taken into consideration, what we're working with. So we have our manpower, we have our equipment, and then the mother of it all is the jurisdiction. What is the jurisdiction makeup that you're going to be responding to? What are the occupancy types? What is the population density? And you take those three pillars and you add in a pillar of safety for how you're now going to go about deploying these strategies and tactics. And that is essentially what my plan is built upon. And in order to accomplish that, being an outsider as I am, I actually have went back to the roots. So one of the first things I've done is to put together work groups. And those work groups have now been assigned engine operations, truck operations, heavy rescue, and then marine and EMS operations. So I have I've went out to all of our field officers and our battalion chiefs on the career side, on the volunteer side, and I've inquired, besides yourselves, what is your recommendation for reliable firefighters? I want to know who I can rely on, who has experience, and who can disseminate that information properly. And I've put together work groups, and I've outlined a syllabus for each of these work groups, and the syllabus are different. For engine operations, we have, different disciplines and topics that we're going to be going through, and everything's done through email. So I give the topic out to my work group, and I ask for private explanations on each of these topics, and then I read the feedback. And from that feedback, I hope to not only gain insight, but to be able to push necessary operational changes. And with operational changes comes operational readiness after we start to alter our training to meet those operational changes. So it's going back to the basics and putting a reliance on the people in the field, which is something that I can speak from experience, is very difficult for the guys that wear white to do. It's difficult, but it is the best thing a leader can do, is rely on the people that are in the trenches for their feedback of what works, what doesn't work, what could work, and all the problem areas. So it's almost a return to the beginning. We talked about that on the previous show, how things always seem to come full circle, and this is an example of that. And I hope that it's effective. If nothing else, I believe it'll show a sincere compassion and genuinely caring for the people in the field, because and we all know, as far as training goes and operations, the safety of the guys and gals is paramount. I have to make sure that everything we're doing, we are keeping them as safe as we possibly can, given the task at hand. And Bobby spoke a few minutes ago that, hey, listen, this job is dangerous, and that's that. It is, and you might not come home. And with that said, it's a commitment of any leader to make sure that if you are tasked with doing something, that I've given you everything I can to make it as safe as possible, whether that's knowledge, whether it's equipment, or whether it's added manpower for that crew. We've given you the tools, and now it's game time. And it's just like football. I've compared it to that in the past. I gave you the ball. Now it's yours to do what you can with it. And you always hope for the best outcome. So that wasn't a nutshell, but that was it in a walnut shell.
And Mike, real quick, and I want to kind of paraphrase what Bobby said earlier. I mean, there's there's not a tool, a nozzle, a hose load, or a policy or procedure that can compensate for being a shitty fireman. And Bobby, that was like some of the most poignant stuff I've heard in a long time. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, because we have people who've, and Mike, I know you're suffering these slings and arrows in Ocean City. And I mean, I love that department dearly. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of that department. I've not been directly associated with it for a little while now, but nevertheless, there are some people who are deeply entrenched in their comfort zones, and their comfort zones might not be the best for the service that we need to provide, whether that's engine company based, truck company based, special operations based, EMS based, whatever the case might be. But trying to get people out of their comfort zones, and this goes beyond the fire service. This just goes into essentially human nature. Is we have some people that will not deviate from what they know, even if what they know has extreme limitations to it, and trying to get them to focus on the mission versus their own personal needs is very, very difficult, because any person is going to say, okay, I need to feel secure as a person. I have my, we'll go back into the hierarchy of needs, food, water, shelter, security, safety. Those are the biggest things for anybody. Whether that's in your personal life or whether that's in your professional life. So if I can hide behind my tenure and say, oh, well, I've been here for 25 years. Well, okay, well, that's great. But what have you done in the last 24? Because you haven't done shit for 24. You've been here for 25. And I'm not saying that to poke anybody in the eye or be negative or pejorative. But my thing is that you have some people who will say, oh, well, we've always done it this way, which I think is some of the most dangerous verbiage in the fire service. And there are some things that are tried and true. But if you're not willing to look and say, what can we do different? What can we do better to improve our service? And guess what? There's some people who have that mindset that get promoted, and they maintain that mindset and they transfer that mindset to other people. And what's very disturbing to me is when I have a new firefighter come in my department and I can tell they've been tainted by some miserable old bastard in, whether it was in their fire academy or, that person who, somehow, some way feels they were, not treated appropriately by the fire service. And, we all have our stories, but when they come in and, I see this person who has 18 months on the job and they're the most, negative and condescending, and I don't want to do this. I have actually my shit filter gets full very quickly. I have zero tolerance for it, to say, where does this sense of entitlement come from? Where does your thought process come from? Because obviously you've never been down a hallway. Obviously you've never done this, never done that. Not to say you won't. And I appreciate what you've done so far, but going back to Bobby's point, a lot of times we focus more on what the needs of the fire service are, which are important. I mean, our personal needs and our professional needs are very, very important, but that should not supersede the service that we're able to provide, because guess what? In a lot of people's minds, we're still the good guys in the white hats. There's not a lot of people out there clamoring to defund the fire department. So, to that,
not all of us have white hats, Trevor. Just so you know.
Well, in your case, I mean, yours is like Snow White. Mine has a little bit of dirt and soot on it, but that's another story. We can talk about that later, Bobby. But
just to be clear, my helmet is still black.
Anyway,
with a black front piece too.
Whatever. That's at your day job, Ben. So anyway, but my point is that to Bobby's point, we really need to go back and look at the service that we're trying to provide, the institution that we try to uphold. And look, we're going to have challenges. We're going to have differences of opinion, which is good. But let's not forget the people that we're there to serve. And whether you're engine centric, look at that, engine centric, truck centric, EMS centric, whatever the case is. I agree with Bobby wholeheartedly that sometimes we put so much emphasis on our comfort zone that we forget that we're actually part of a service. I mean, it's called the fire service, and sometimes we neglect the service part of it.
I'm going to jump in here real quick, because talking about the service that we're providing to others, and something that really just burns my ass. we chose to get into this profession, right?
Ben, that's I'm sorry, Ben, to interrupt you, but
Okay.
that's called Taco Tuesday. But go ahead about burning your ass.
Oh, is that what it is? It was always Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. That makes sense now.
Jalapenos.
Huh. Well, that's good to know. So anyway, something that burns my ass. Again, we chose to do this job. We understand, like Bobby and Mike both said, that it's a dangerous profession, that we may not come home, but we chose this job. So whether it means it's to call at 3 a.m. or 3 p.m., like that doesn't give you the right to be an asshole to the person that called you, right? I will throw in there that there's a caveat that, like, you go to the same person 6 times in a matter of 6 hours, they're the asshole. All right, but still, like the grandmother that fell down and just needs a hand up at 3 o'clock in the morning. She's got a small bladder. She pees a lot. Go pick her up, put her back in. Nice, Trevor. Put her back, help her get her back in bed, and then go back to the firehouse. You don't have to be an asshole to her. Just be nice and go home. Like Brunacini always said, be nice. That's what it's all about. Take care of the people, because ultimately, at some point, you're going to ask them to take care of you, whether it's paying a fire tax, through having them vote on something that comes up on the next ballot, whatever it is, you have to take care of them, because ultimately it's going to come back around to something that you might want or need in the future. And it's your job. I'm good. I'm done now. Thanks.
All right. Well, I guess we'll do a wrap up. Let me finish up and go around the horn. All right. First of all, like I said, I'm really excited to have Mike come on board to help us out. I'm really excited about us going out to Wichita together to share some friendship and brotherhood out there and sisterhood out there with a bunch of great people. Yes, there you go. And Raffles on his crew. But anyway, you know what? I mean, everyone out there, we've got to do a real reset. You know, we've been a cranky country for a little while now with COVID and everything else. Everyone's kind of at each other a little bit, things like that. But the fire service matters. It really, really matters, and how we're represented by how we act. And so, you know, when you see that guy that can do a really good job at some type of skill or technique, what you didn't see was 100 times he practiced it, messed with it, and practiced it, and troubleshot. All you're seeing is the end result. And you know, all this, the success in this gig is all work. That's, I mean, I think, you know, Bill Gates, they interviewed him one time, and they asked what it felt like to be successful, and he just simply he said it felt like a lot of hard work. And I think the fire service is exactly the same way. Put the work in, you're going to get the results. Great to see everybody. Whatever. This is really fun. I gotta learn how to do that. That's not even. I don't know how to do the damn thing.
Go ahead, Mike, with your closing comments.
Well, I'm excited to be invited by these guys out to Wichita. I'm looking forward to it. You know, we're doing a big RIT component out there, and that's something that I'm really passionate about, and even more so ever since January of last year up in Baltimore. So I'm looking forward to getting out there with these guys and experiencing this whole thing. I get to go with a bunch of veterans and kind of just see how it all plays out. So I'm really excited about it. It's a big opportunity, and I'm hoping that we have a really positive effect on everyone that's out there and tuning in. And I'm looking forward to the future of the show. I'm looking forward to getting some good guests on and having a good fall coming up. So I appreciate everything you guys have said and done, and all the offerings of blessings and of course being there if I needed something, because it seems daily that I need someone's input on something. So I really appreciate it.
Trevor?
Kind of echo Mike's comments. It's great to see everybody. I know we're coming to the end of a busy summer, and summer season for you guys is just off the wall. You're coming off a lot of significant calls, a lot of long work hours, a lot of changes, and it's nice to see. And Mike, I know it's pushing a boulder up a hill, but you're in the right spot at the right time. It might not feel like it to you right now. I'm sure there's going to be days where you have second thoughts about what you're doing, but I couldn't be happier to see somebody like you in charge of training for Ocean City Fire Department. And you got everybody's support, and people like Bobby. I've had the privilege of teaching Bobby for a lot of years, and just have a world of respect for the instructional capability and the passion and the mindset of people like Bobby McGee or Ray McCormick, the guys and girls out in Wichita that have treated us exceptionally well. And I'm excited to have you out there too, Mike, because it's a very unique experience. It's a what would you say, Bobby? Probably like anywhere from a 300 to 500 person conference, give or take, depending on the year. I don't know what it is post COVID. I
think it's 300 or 400. It started. I think it was 100 or less before.
Yeah. But what's super cool is that the people out there, and you'll have everybody from metropolitan areas to some little rural department where you have this person that just wants to start learning their trade and mastering their trade. So it's as much as I enjoy going out there, I think I probably get more out of it personally than maybe the students get from me. Not that I don't try to go out there and give the best effort possible, but at the same time, to me, I get to see these people that they want to be there. They're there for the right reason. They want to perfect their craft. They want to become good at their trade. And even especially when after hours, it's kind of like a miniature FDIC where we might be at the pub across the street and we're still talking training at 10 o'clock at night. Again, I don't know if Bobby wants to get into it tonight or not, but he can certainly tell you. We had the privilege of being out there 1 year with Mike Dugan, and Wichita's kind of a weird place. I mean, not weird bad, but I never knew that a lot of people didn't live downtown. And that area is gentrified, and certainly there's more young folks living in loft apartments or anything else. But at about 10 o'clock at night, it becomes a ghost town because a lot of people live out in those suburban areas. But get Bobby to tell you about when we all just went out trying to get a Guinness one night. Kind of a weird experience. We thought some people got abducted by aliens. Weren't real sure what was going on, but I think, Mike, you're going to have a good time. And again, I'm very, very happy and proud that you're battalion chief. Is that your title now?
That's what I'm told.
Okay, well, as long as the grade and step in your paycheck reflects battalion chief or higher, that's good. But no, I mean, my sincerest congratulations, and I'll say this. I mean this strictly as a compliment. Not only for the people that I knew when I worked there that still work there, but for the people who are coming up now and in the future. But my mom lives in the north end of town, and when I look at the faces on this screen, I'm 1,100 miles away from my mother, but I know that she's well protected up there in box area 4 because of the people that have the mindset that you all do. So that gives me a lot of great hope and a lot of great comfort that there's still people in the fire service in Ocean City like you all on this screen. And I mean that sincerely. So love you, brothers. And, I hope the end of your summer goes very smoothly.
Thanks, Trevor. You too, man.
Thank you, sir. Well, as we wrap things up here, we were talking quite a bit tonight about Wichita Hot. If you go to our website, stbtraining.com, we have a link to the website as well as a little information about the class that the guys are going to be teaching. I'm going to throw their website up on the page as well, or up on the video. It's wichitahot.com. Eventually, there it is. So if you're interested, you can go and find out about the classes up here. They've got some great instructors coming out. They've also got a lot of lectures that are going to be just phenomenal to go along with the hands-on. So make sure you guys go and check out wichitahot.com and see what they've got going on as far as that goes for the conference coming up in October. With that being said, we're looking at coming back in 2 weeks for another Thirsty Thursday. We love you guys tuning in. If you want to listen to us, we're on a lot of the different podcasting apps or forums. So Apple, Pandora, Spotify, all that kind of stuff. So check us out. Just give us a search. We'd appreciate it. And if there's something, if you guys want to come on, or you want a topic that you want us to talk about, shoot us an email. I'm sure if you guys are watching, you have one of our cell phone numbers. Shoot us a text, and we can go from there. So with that being said, cheers, gentlemen. It's always a pleasure. Everybody stay safe and have a good night. We'll see you next time.